Macklin Celebrini has truly cemented himself in a tier of his own in the 2024 NHL Draft, dominating all throughout this year in the NCAA of Boston University, performing great offensively for Canada at the World Juniors, and dominating lately with 12 points over his last 5 games. With Celebrini becoming the big prize for any team that wins the draft lottery, and with so many teams in the draft lottery mix this season, which NHL teams fit him the most? Where would Celebrini have the most success in the NHL? And which NHL team needs to add this elite centerman right now? Well, it's your lucky day, ladies and gentlemen, because today we're going to be answering those questions, seeing where Macklin Celebrini could end up and which NHL teams need him the most. So make sure you watch till the end for all of that and all the prospect analysis. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey and prospect content just like this as we lead up to the draft this year. So much is going to be coming out that you won't want to miss. Now, when we talk about first overall picks, Macklin Celebrini projected to be number 1 in 2024. He's not going to be on the same level of a Connor Bedard or an Austin Matthews, at least to what we see in their rookie years. But Macklin Celebrini is still going to be a fantastic player, and anybody that drafts him is going to be extremely lucky to have. I mean, not being on Bedard's level is nothing to be mad about because Bedard is one of the best first overall picks we've seen over the last decade with what he was able to do in the WHL all throughout the draft year in the regular season and the playoffs, as well as his dominant performance with Canada at the World Juniors. Celebrini was never going to live up to those expectations. But Celebrini is carving his own path to the NHL, and what he's been able to do has still been incredibly impressive. Being 17 throughout all of this draft year in the NCAA, he has still continued to be dominant. And for BU, in 32 games, he has 29 goals, 25 assists for 54 points, almost a goal per game in the NCAA, and he's not even an adult yet. It's ridiculous. To show just how impressive Macklin Celebrini has been, right now he's second in terms of points in the NCAA, but when you look at points per game, he's right now number 1 with a 1.69, very nice stat there, above Will Smith, Gabe Perreault, Mark McGrody, Cutter Gauthier, who he's almost 3 years younger than, but he's above them. In an island of his own on Boston University, Celebrini has been truly elite, and it's unbelievable at 17 years old what he's been able to do. I mean, Adam Fantilli last year was incredible, but he was an 18-year-old for almost an entire season. But Celebrini, as such a young player, as the youngest player in the NCAA, doing what he's doing is straight nutty. Now, what Fantilli was able to do in his draft year was unreal, a 1.81 points per game, really on an island of his own, at least when it comes to players above 30 games. Sean Farrell being the closest with an 1.56. It's insane what Fantilli was doing, and of course won the Hobey Baker Award. But the thing was, if they were in the same draft year with the same birth dates, then Macklin Celebrini would be, like 9 months younger? And that is a humongous difference. What Celebrini is still able to do, still leading the NCAA in points per game, while also having that age difference, it's insane. But that's the thing with Celebrini that is most impressive to me is that it's not just about the points, it's not just about what he's putting up, it's also about the overall player he is and the overall player I think he will be. This is a guy that is an incredibly smart, driven player and really gives it all every single shift, and that to me is extraordinarily important on top of the unbelievable skill set that Celebrini has with his shot, with the way he's able to deke around players. I think this is a guy that could be a really excellent number 1 center in the future. And again, it's not just about those points, it's the way he plays around those points that is extremely important and has led to a lot of success with BU this year. You also look at the warpath that Celebrini has been on since he returned to the NCAA. In his last 17 games, he has 29 points, and it's not hard to see why teams are going to be running up to the stage to select him if they get the first overall pick. Now, we're going to get into the teams here that I think need Celebrini the most here in a second, and I have some pretty interesting opinions on this one that some of you guys agree with, some of you guys might not agree with, but first, we're going to talk about today's sponsor in BetUS.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
All you guys need to do to get BetUS's special offer is to sign up with BetUS with the link in the description and use code JOIN125. When you do that, you'll get an 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,500. A heck of a deal there. And of course, BetUS is the best place to make daily NHL and sports bets, whether you're in the US or Canada. Plus, they give you 24/7 customer payouts and 24/7 customer service. And of course, BetUS is the best place to make daily NHL picks. And I got a couple of spicy meatballs for you guys tonight. First, I like Detroit's odds at plus 110. Even though they've lost 5 straight, I think versus Buffalo, this is the best time to get out of that streak and really get going for Detroit again. I also like Calgary's odds at plus 150 versus the Avs. They've been pretty good as of late at home and really pretty solid over the past couple of months, and Colorado's kind of a 500 team away from Ball Arena. I like those odds quite a bit, and plus, if you put $20 down, you could win 85 by the end of the night. So what are you waiting for? Go in the description with my link and sign up to BetUS, and thank you so much to BetUS for sponsoring today's video. Now let's look at the NHL Draft Lottery odds and talk about which teams could need Macklin Celebrini the most. And it's interesting because obviously over the past couple of years, we've seen the Draft Lottery rules change and the odds change as well. And the teams that could win Celebrini only go to 11th overall. So everybody from 11 down has the chance at Celebrini this year. But even though this is subject to change, we have a pretty good idea of which teams will have the best odds at Celebrini by the end. Now, I think it is worth noting that unlike Bedard, I don't think there's really any scenario where you get the most out of Celebrini by having him as a winger. He is going to be a center no matter what at the NHL level, in my opinion, or at least should be, and that kind of maybe rules some teams out, at least when it comes to the best fits for Celebrini. One team that I think does not fit at all with Macklin Celebrini, and a team that has 6% odds to get him in the end, is the Buffalo Sabres, who already have Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, and a plethora of center prospects coming up. Noah Ostlund, to name just one. But with the Sabres, even though they would absolutely take Celebrini, and I do think his competitive nature would be a breath of fresh air in Buffalo, I just think positionally it would just not be a good fit for him, and he just wouldn't get the chance to shine. Even though Tage Thompson, I don't think is going to be able to reach the lengths that we saw last year for the rest of his career, he's still going to be a really good top six centerman. And even though I think Celebrini could maybe fit as the guy in Buffalo, I just feel like it could create some problems for the rest of the lineup. And again, with how much money they've already spent on Thompson and Cousins for the future, it just kind of makes things more complicated. I would also lump the Anaheim Ducks in that group of Buffalo as well. They're a team that has already drafted exceedingly well center-wise recently, with Leo Carlsson and Mason McTavish really being the top 6 guys for the future. And sure, I think if they got first overall, they'd still take Celebrini. Why the heck wouldn't you? But I feel like they'd be a team that, in terms of needing him the most, definitely isn't up there. Even though I do think his competitive spirit and the balance he brings center-wise would be a nice addition. He'd be amazing as a top 6 center immediately. I just feel like for Anaheim, they've already got their center core pretty set, and adding another top 6 guy is just something I don't think they really need. But now we're going to go to teams that I think could actually really use Celebrini in the future. And there's 7 different teams here that I think could really have a need for Celebrini at this point. And we're going to start out here at number 7 with the Montreal Canadiens, a team that I think maybe compared to some other teams doesn't need him as much, but I think could definitely use him in the lineup. You could maybe put Kirby Dach more on the wing, have Suzuki as more of a balanced leader, defensive second line center, and have Celebrini as the more offensive franchise leading face. To me, that could be what we see if Montreal were to be able to get that first overall pick, were to be able to select Celebrini, and I think he'd be the best chance of Montreal getting a superstar player, a truly loaded player in their lineup. And to me, I think that's something that Montreal could use, that extra bit of star power, that extra little bit of offense, and Celebrini would definitely provide it. And if you were able to get that first overall pick and select Macklin, you'd have a center core of Celebrini, Suzuki, Dach, and Owen Beck, and I'm not sure how you could say no to that. Now going on to number 6 and just ahead of Montreal is actually the Ottawa Senators, and I think maybe if Montreal feels more of a positional franchise superstar needing a skill set that Montreal might need, I think for Ottawa, in terms of the characteristics, in terms of the off-ice way that Celebrini handles himself, to me, I think that's exactly what Ottawa needs. I think there's been a problem with stagnation, a problem with just winning maybe not being the priority as much as it should be. And to me, I think with Celebrini, the just absolute fearless competitor that he is, might be able to turn that locker room around in Ottawa, bring some more balance within the lineup, maybe have Stützle as maybe more of a winger going forward. I think it would provide a lot more balance to this Ottawa roster, really a lot more balance to the future. And also just looking at what their prospect pool is like right now, it's pretty barren. Adding Celebrini to it would be massive. And they currently have an 8.5% chance of winning Macklin Celebrini this year. That's just how bad the Sens have been this year, but that's honestly why they need him so much. Just how absolutely disappointing they've been. They need somebody to push them forward, and Celebrini could absolutely do that. Next, I'm going on to number 5, and a team that I think could use both the off-ice and on-ice skill set of Celebrini, and that's the Arizona Coyotes. Now, even though I'm a big fan of Logan Cooley and the offense that he's going to bring for Arizona and already has, I think Celebrini could be a fascinating fit with Arizona. when we look towards the future of the Coyotes franchise and potential relocation and everything like that, if they are going to relocate, they need somebody to be a true leader and be that face of the franchise going forward. And Celebrini, to me, could absolutely be that. A leader that will bring competitiveness, a leader that will bring winning results to Arizona or the Coyotes or whatever they end up being. To me, that's exactly what the franchise could need going forward, and what he'll be able to bring, the stability throughout the lineup, the leadership he'll be able to bring. He's that leader for the future for the Coyotes, and could be exactly what Cooley needs, as well as a future face alongside him. Next up, we go on to number 4, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and it's a kind of similar situation to Arizona, where I think Adam Fantilli could absolutely get by as a first-line center. I think he could be a great one. But imagine a 1-2 punch of Celebrini and Fantilli, and Columbus is loaded up for the future, honestly. This is a team to me, though, that also, like Arizona, needs an identity going forward, needs to change the culture that they've had of mediocrity over the past a little bit. And to me, especially with Columbus, they need a leader for that future, especially if they're going to trade a player like Boone Jenner over the next couple of years. Celebrini could be exactly what Columbus needs going forward to really bring together that group of younger players. And again, what Columbus could be, what that 4 group could look like with Celebrini and Fantilli, it would be straight nasty. Next up at number 3, I mean, I would be remiss if I did not mention the Chicago Blackhawks. In terms of how bad of a team this is, Chicago could obviously always use a first overall pick. They needed it last year. Truly, out of everybody, needed it last year. With Bedard, they needed it less than a couple other teams, in my opinion. But with Chicago, they could still really use a 1-2 punch of Bedard and Celebrini. That would really unlock the future of this team. But I would say they're not number 1 because of Bedard, but also I think they could be fine without another superstar talent. You have players coming up in the system that I think are going to be solid, like Oliver Moore and Frank Nazar, that could be centers in the future. And even though Celebrini would be ideal, to me, if Chicago gets 3rd overall, nobody should be being sad for them. They're going to be all right. Going on to the team that needs Celebrini the second most, and this might be the most controversial take of the video, but in terms of futures of NHL franchises, very few are looking as bleak as the Pittsburgh Penguins, and needing a future face might be exactly what the doctor ordered. You have, of course, the aging contracts of Crosby and Malkin and Letang, and all of this discomfort this season, all of the just lack of success over the past couple of years. And to me, Pittsburgh, at least in terms of franchises going forward, needs something to look forward to. You might not agree, you might want Pittsburgh to suck for a while, and that's okay. But in terms of actual organizational need, Pittsburgh's prospect pool is horrible. Their future looks horrible. They don't really have many aspirations, but if Celebrini comes in next year, they could finally have the boost they're looking for, and could have a guy right behind Malkin and Crosby, ushering in the next generation of Pittsburgh hockey. And to me, if they're looking at any team that needs something, some big juice into the prospect pool, Pittsburgh is definitely one of those teams. And it would absolutely light the world on fire, but they have a 3.5% chance at Celebrini. It's not nothing right now, and honestly, with the way they're playing, they might even get better odds by the time the season's over. But now we go on to number 1 in the team that, in my opinion, needs Macklin Celebrini by far the most, and that is by far, without a doubt, the San Jose Sharks. I mean, just how bad they've been has just been one of the pieces of the puzzle of why they need number 1 so badly. But to me, I like Will Smith. I think Will Smith is going to be a very creative, very dynamic center in the future. But at the same time, I think Celebrini is exactly what that team needs. An actual franchise face, an elite player 100%, and a player that you're not going to be able to doubt whatsoever will be a next generation Shark, will be on the level of a Marlowe and a Thornton, and will be able to lead the next generation. To me, that's exactly the type of hope that San Jose is looking for. And even though they have a great prospect pool of guys that I think will be great, they need something elite. They need something that is going to push that team forward and push them into great playoff lengths. And I think Celebrini is exactly the type of character and the player to be able to get it done. And I'm just saying, for a team that has never won the Stanley Cup and has gotten so close so many times, you need natural-born leaders. Celebrini is one of those guys, and if there's anybody to lead the Sharks to the Cup, Celebrini is a pretty good bet to do it. But those are my picks for teams that need Celebrini the most. In terms of teams that I'd want to see get Celebrini the most, I mean, San Jose is definitely up there. I want them to have something, man. Everything has just been so sad with San Jose lately. The Hurdle trade was just another piece on top of that. They need something, man. The fans deserve something there. It's been just so brutal over the past few years. But seeing Celebrini as a Shark will be a pretty good consolation prize. But I want to know in the comments down below, which teams do you think need Celebrini the most? Do you agree? Do you disagree with my rankings? And also let me know who you want to see Celebrini go to. Which team do you want to see him change for the future? Let us know all your thoughts down below. And of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you guys haven't already. And share the video with all the hockey fans you guys know online. Get the Celebrini odds out there. And of course, click on this card for all my 2024 draft content right in one playlist. A lot of good stuff to binge there if you want to find out about Celebrini, as well as all the other prospects in the 2024 draft there. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great hockey day, folks, and goodbye.